the dumbest way to run a country or to raise a child for that matter is to be fair. That's my statement, and I think we'll need to do some definitions before it gets ugly. And then please someone let me know why we should all be the same. For what reason? Please let me know.
Radio Nuwe Lied. Your Christian lifestyle radio station. Chat with Corné. We scratch where it itches.
Good day, you beautiful people. My name is Corné and welcome to Chat with Corné. I hope you will join in the chat. You are welcome to send whatever messages, requests, whatever you want to say to us or to me. You are welcome to do that. You can do that in one of two ways. You can either send a email to this here address, or if you would rather use your cell phone, you're welcome to do that, and then you can send us a WhatsApp or Telegram message to that number there, and then we can have a chat, and I can hear what you have to say. So for today, it's just a statement. It's a thing that bugs me, and that is the question of, or the problem in my mind of fairness. So I think we'll need to start with definitions first of what do I mean by fairness and what is the problem with that. Fair, to be fair means you treat everybody the same. Sounds maybe like a good idea? Not a good idea. The correct thing in my mind is righteous. Don't be fair, be righteous. Now, there is a place for fairness, but if you think about it in these terms, with these definitions, it makes sense to not treat everybody the same, in my mind at least. And there's a lot of reasons why I think people don't do that. And they kind of feel bad. I hear that a lot from parents, but I did this for my one child. I should do it for the other child as well. And no, you don't need to. It's not necessarily a good idea to do that. If you think along the lines of the country, it is a very bad idea to treat all the people the same. Now, we need to clarify here that some things we need to be the same in. So let's call that fair. And that has to do with identity. If your identity is based on what you do, how good you can perform at certain things, and we'll talk about that now. If that is your identity, then you have a problem, yes, because then you would expect everybody to treat you the same than anybody else. That should not be your identity. Your identity should be in who made you. And the fact that we are all human beings means, in that sense, we all deserve respect for us being human, and therefore you treat people that you disagree with great respect. Therefore you can be mad at someone. You can correct someone very strict, but still do it with respect and even love. Love should be the driving force behind all of this in any case, from a Christian perspective. In my mind, I remember Desmond Tutu had this saying, we're all children of God, and by that he meant all humanity. And I always thought, I wish I could speak to him about this. We are all creations of God, created in the image of God, but we are not all children of God by default. You can become one, and I hope you are one, But there's a difference. So we are all creations of God. Yes, we need similar respect, but we are not all the same. Not in our sonship or daughtership, if there's such a word even, as Christians, and not in the way we created, not the way we look, not the way we perform, what we can do, our giftings. All those things are unique and individual and should be, and we should be rewarded according to that. I mean, let's start again with the Bible. You know about the stories that Jesus told of talents. Some received more, and more were expected of them. Some received less. Some could do more with what they have received. Some could do less. Some decided not to do anything, and they were in big trouble. God created each one of us unique to do specific stuff. And even on the fun stuff that is not, obviously tied into a thing like a calling on your life, even things like sport or arts or how clever you are, all those things are gifts. You cannot tie your identity to what you have been given. What you can do is expect reward on what you can do. That's why it can't be your identity. So let's look at some examples. Let's say for children. If you are a very good athlete, you should get the medal. If you are a bad athlete, you should not get the medal. That is the correct thing. It's not fair, it's righteous. It is the correct thing to do. If you are very clever, you should get the book prize. If your marks suck, you should not get the book prize. If you are pretty, you should get the crown. If you have a very nice personality but you're not pretty, you should not get the crown. There should be fair competition where your identity is not tied up in whether you get the medal as the best whatever. But without competition, how do you know where to put yourself in the world? How do you know whether you are a good tennis player if there's not a competition and you can either get the medal and see, wow, I've got a talent for that, or you see, I did not perform this well, but I can see that I have potential, and then you develop that potential to become good. Or you're in competition, and after a few competitions, you can just see not your game. You shouldn't go near racket sports ever again. How do you know that stuff if there's not competition? So now the problem is, because we have this thing of where people have tied their identity to it, we had to remove, which I think is a very dumb idea, we had to remove the honoring of people for their performances. So now it doesn't matter whether you worked your tail off in class to get a good mark or you just scraped through. You passed. There's no more distinction between you were a top performer, you got A or A plus or B or whatever it is. They've got like very loose, broad categories now, at least. Still some category, but very loose. And in my mind, it does more damage than good. There is no incentive to perform where you know you can. Obviously, in this system, when you perform, when you reward people for performance, there needs to be righteousness in the system, which means the person judging this thing should be righteous. Otherwise, you've got a problem. I want to give you an example from when I was in school. I was in a grade school. Morgenson, Hoërskool Hoëveld. um, loved it there. And we had really great teachers, mostly. Um, and some of them had a great influence on the way that I think up to today. The one teacher, Mr. Rautenbach, he was our agricultural science teacher. In the beginning of the year, you got like a piece of paper, what do they call it? Blokkies papier, where you could draw graphs on. And so he would ask every student, what do you think you can get as a mark for your tests? And so you would say whatever the amount is. Now, I was okay academically in school, so I said to him, I think I can get 80% for my tests. And he said, I think you can get 85. So I had to draw a line on my graph paper, 85%. And I remember distinctly there was one guy in the class who had to draw his line at 40%. And this was the deal then. According to what you judge yourself, and he had a finger in the pie as well, because he knew high school students. When you decided on what that mark was for you, when the other dude got 40%, great, well done. When I got 80%, not so great, not so well done, got hiding. Good old days, you could still do that and not be in trouble for being a child. What is that? It's not a molester, but physical abuser, a child abuser. You could be a good parent or a good teacher dishing out hidings without that. But in any case, so that taught me so much about righteousness. Everybody is not the same. Everybody cannot get the same marks. It is blatantly obvious in life. So why treat people like they are when they are not? You are not doing the guy the favor by treating him the same if he knows he's not the same. And you will see this carry over into the country now. Because he knows he's not on the same level. And when you treat him the same, you do not do him a favor because he knows it. You do not do the top performer a favor because there's no incentive to perform if you are treated the same way. So in sports, then obviously I wasn't that, I loved sport, I still love sports, and I always competed, and I was, in my mind, kind of above average, but I was not a top performer in sport, ever. I just loved it. So the same deal was true for me there. There wasn't a nice teacher, giving us those things, but we still get, we were judged and rewarded with medals, and I rarely got medals beyond a local school level. There was one or two little things in a tax. I did something else. I played badminton, but never a big performer. Never got the medals at leagues, with others with other schools or provincial level. Nothing of that. And that was not bad. That made me realize to pursue a career in sport is probably a dumb idea. So if there's no friendly competition, people cannot judge themselves. They don't know where to slot themselves. And the other thing that comes from that is probably well-meaning teachers and parents tell their children, then you can become anything you want. What do you want to be? You cannot become anything you want to be. You can have big dreams and accomplish incredible things, but not anything you wish. I could, for all the right reasons and all the practice and throwing money at it, probably not be a good golfer. Ever. I love playing golf. I still do. I'm just bad at it, but I enjoy it. I could never become a professional with all the hard training and lessons in the world. I was not gifted with that ability. And to tell a kid that you can become anything sets him up for failure, not because he cannot accomplish great things, but because he needs to find himself in this world and what he's been gifted with, and not tie his identity to what he can do, but tie his identity to who he has been created and by who he has been created. If we can tie our identity, I wrote a song about it, come to think of it now, and it's too late to link it to you, that talks about the worth on somebody's life. And if you think about paintings, Picasso is my favorite example. If you look at Picasso's art, I would say most people go, what is the deal here? A child could do that. And then I've got a wife who is a great graphic artist. She's got amazing paintings. She can paint stuff photorealistically. It is an amazing skill. She cannot sell her artwork for 1,000th of what Picasso can charge for one of his paintings. Or by now, people can charge for a Picasso painting. Why not? Because it is not that much about the artwork. It's about the name of the artist on the canvas. And if you can realize that you have been created by a loving creator, and that is the name on your canvas, if that is your identity, it shouldn't be a problem to be lost in certain things, in the middle in other stuff, and top in certain things. And by the way, that's how you know where you need to go in life and what you need to do, probably. It's not I think a straight line necessarily between all the stuff, but it gives you a good idea. If you have not been born, have not been gifted by your loving maker with a talent for sport, please do not pursue it. If you cannot sing, I don't care if your mother told you 50 times that you could be anything that you put your mind to. Do not identify as a singer. But what you discover, what you are good at, what you have been gifted with, please pursue that. And enjoy the rewards of that. Because this is the thing. People will find meaning and happiness if they discover what they are good at, and if they are rewarded with what they are good at, or according to what they are good at and how good they are in that field. And there's joy in that. It's a really important thing to do. And I'm thinking, along the lines of raising children more than anything else at this stage. But you see now, obviously we'll get to it, that it's true for government as well. But I think before we do that, let's run a quick ad here.
Soos met 'n goeie film, is musiek die mees belangrike faktor wat die atmosfeer van jou troudag sal bepaal. Dit maak of breek. Van die oomblik wat jou gaste opdaag tot die dansvloer sluit, sal Music for Weddings sorg dat jou persoonlike liefdesverhaal die perfekte lewende of opgeneemde klankbaan het. Vind meer uit by musicforweddings.co.za. Hulle het pakkette beskikbaar vir elke smaak en begroting. Bespreek SA se heel beste troumusiekverskaffer.
Now you might say to me, but isn't God fair? And my answer is no, he's not. He's righteous. If you are Afrikaans, it is a bit more of a challenge to explain, because the word regverdig is the translation for fair. And the Bible is full of God is regverdig. And it is the way it is, and it's consistent like that. So that's why we need to define what we say and mean. Because if I'm anti-fairness, in the sense, that I've explained now, but you show me the Bible and say, but look here, God is fair, hy is regverdig, sy wette is regverdig, alles van hom is regverdig, then I would have to say, yes, I agree with you in that. That's what the Bible says. But we need to look at this a bit deeper than just, well, that's what's on the page there. And if you think about the translation, so let me just get this for you here. I have if everything goes well, I hope you can see some of that. A whole list here of where in the Bible it talks about God being righteous, because that's the one thing we can agree on, right? God is righteous. It says so on the page in the Bible. But now if you look at the Afrikaans version of it, it says regverdig, which is fair in English. And that's what I want you to see. Without exception in the Bible that I could see, if it says regverdig in Afrikaans, it does not say fair in English. It says righteous. So in my mind, a better way would be to say in Afrikaans, God is geregtig. Maar geregtig het ook die betekenis van jy is geregtig op iets, dit kom jou toe. So that's a different meaning, but this regverdig here is not the same as fair, it's the same as righteous. So you need to keep that in mind if you read an Afrikaans Bible. It does not make a difference between righteous and fair, but there is a difference. So I just wanted you to see this. It is all through the Bible, lots of mentions about God being righteous, about righteous people, about God's word being righteous, about God being a righteous judge, about His laws being righteous, and every time in Afrikaans it says regverdig. In my mind it should be geregtig, in the sense of being righteous. So yes, the Bible says God is regverdig, but in the sense of the English righteous, which means He does not treat everybody the same. He does not. He treats everybody according to themselves. And once again, it's pretty obvious in the sense of God created us from the beginning not the same. We do not look the same. I do not have hair like my friends. I am not such a good businessman that I have as big a business as some of my friends. I am better at sport than a lot of people, but not nearly as good as professional people. I'm fairly clever, but there are way more clever people than me in the world. So you need to judge yourself or find yourself in all these things and then develop what you have. And you don't need to be the best in the world to pursue that thing, bring that thing to the world, and that is you in the world. This is what you bring to the world. Please don't fall for that either. You don't need to be number one. But whatever your gifting is, you should bring to the world, and you should be all in on that and develop that, because God has given you that, and He will look at that, and if I understand the Bible correctly, there will be reward on what you did with what you have been given. And so I hope it is clear to you that righteousness is the correct thing, not fairness, and that God, even in creating us, did not create us all equal. we are equal in our standing as human beings, as created beings, being created in the image of God, but not the same. Look around you. Some people have white skins, black skins, brown skins. We call it yellow. It's difficult with skins, but you know what I'm saying. Different cultures, different languages, different talents, different inclinations, different personalities. Those things should be celebrated, not made the same. So now if you think about broader onto government level, it is a way towards socialism, communism, is to take away the uniqueness, because then that's part of why this whole thing happens, and communism always ends up a mess. Socialism, where the state looks after people, always a mess. And it is both the result of it and the other way around as well true. So if everybody is the same, people will not perform. If there's no reward on performing, people will not perform. It is human nature. If you get rewarded for what you do well, you'll do it even better. That should be celebrated, that should be developed, that should be to the benefit of civilization at large, so your country. And that's why I'm a fan of things like open market systems and capitalism. That is one of the kind of the foundational things of those systems, is that people are unique. And if you let people do what they do, they will do it really well. And people who do not do that well must not be there. They must go do what they do well and get compensated for that. So if everybody can do what they do well and are not forced into things by quota systems or pie in the sky, do not look at reality, whatever you do kind of thinking, then people will not perform. It will not go well with the country. It can't. You can't perform optimally if you are not where you're supposed to be, you don't enjoy being there, if you are put in a position where you are not comfortable because you have not been gifted for that, you will know that you don't belong there. You will see it. You will run it in such a way and make a mess of it. So you don't experience anything good there as well. Maybe some monetary reward for what you should not that you should not be entitled to for the job that you do. That's part of the frustration from people looking at people running organizations into the ground and still receiving bonuses and huge salaries, and it cannot be. That is not righteous. Righteousness would say we are not all equal. Not less human, not less valuable. Nothing of that. It is not a race card. It is not a class card. It is a obvious thing of we are not the same. So let's not treat everybody the same. Let's get incentive to people to reward them for what they do well, and then let's use their uniqueness, their skills, and let's use it for the benefit of the country. And if you do that, I can guarantee you, once again, just look at history. Until people get greedy and run themselves into the ground again with a good system, it happens. The bad system never works. So even good systems get themselves into trouble because people lose the plot and they lose their foundation and their footing. And they forget the good basic foundational principles of where they come from, who created them, why he created them, and their role in this whole thing on earth and where they are in life. And if you forget that, you think it's about you think it's about your accomplishments, you try to get more, it turns into a mess. And that's the other side of it as well that we'll talk about in a later video. But for today, whether it's your child, whether it is the government, let's let people be. Let them discover and experience your own uniqueness. Put them in great competition where you should get the prize for what you are good at and not if you are not good at it. But that shouldn't be your identity. There should be no shame in not being good at anything. There should be shame in you are good at something in principle, but there's no effort there. And then if you take that from a child into an adult, into a workforce of a country, it's the same thing. And if you can let it be, then I believe with all my heart things will go much better. That's why I'm a fan of the capitalism, the free market systems, individuality, freedom for the individual, personal freedom. All those things make for a better civilization, a better country, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in China, whether it's in America. This is not a cultural thing. You could have various systems that incorporate that stuff. But that's my little thing for today. So, the dumbest way to run a country is to be fair. The dumbest way to raise a child is to be fair. Please let your child and let the citizens of this country be, and let them excel at what they do.
Lekker koffie word op die heel beste natuurlike metodes verbou in die hoof koffieproduserende lande in Afrika. Jy kan sommer die kwaliteit proe. Spesialis koffie van ander gebiede is ook beskikbaar. Jy kan jou bestelling plaas by nuwelied.co.za. Dis beskikbaar in verskillende sterktes, as bone of gemaal en in 3 verskillende groottes verpakking. Onthou, as dit nie sê lekker koffie nie, dan is dit nie lekker koffie nie.
Radio Nuwe Lied. Your Christian lifestyle radio station.